I don't think this is a show where we'll get a bunch of Easter eggy type stuff.
Not like we were getting in Lower Decks. No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, even Discovery, we don't really get like huge Easter eggs like that. Because like I feel like Lower Decks, like the show is all about the Easter eggs because it's a show. It's a show made for fans of Star Trek by fans of Star Trek.
Right.
Whereas things like Discovery and Picard, and Prodigy, and Strange New Worlds, like there's going to be not necessarily Easter eggs, but references to things that we know exist. But it's not going to be like, hey, look at this thing. This is the thing that exists. It's a sexy time candle ghost. You know, like that kind of stuff. I don't think we're gonna get here. But like, oh hey, it's a Tellarite, or oh look, it's the outrageous Okona. Like we're gonna get those direct references, but not necessarily just like random stuff in the background. It'd be like, oh, that's cool.
Right.
Really quick before we continue, I just want to point out again, for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, this is our post show. If you would like to watch the show with us, you can tune into our Twitch stream. If you're watching it on Twitch, you're already here, and we'll be copying this section of the show over to YouTube, so that you can watch it the day after the show airs and keep the conversation with us going. Comment, you know, in the comments, and you know, let us know what you guys thought of the episode, and anything that you might want us to discuss the following week, and we will make sure to bring that up. Okay, so now with that out of the way, what did you guys think of the series? I was almost going to say season, but this is actually the series premiere of Prodigy, Lost and Found. Mark, let's start with you.
I really liked it, to be fair. I felt like it didn't feel like Star Trek, though. It just felt, as I said, like Star Wars, Fable, Fallout. It just felt like it wasn't a Star Trek show, but I'm guessing it's to get people hooked in on it. That's my kind of thought on it. It was a good show. What did you think?
Sorry, I'm just admiring the view, Mark. Looking up at Mark right now. Yeah, I got it kind of the same. It's I mean, we talked about it during the show. It felt like it had a lot of different influences, which honestly, I mean, that's not a bad thing, because I mean, if you're influenced by a lot of things, then you're going to make something that's wholly original. I enjoyed it. The animation style is smooth. The character progression is fun. What I really like so far is the characters are not archetypes. I was really expecting it to be this is that, she is this, they are that. And so far, aside from maybe like a little bit of a job classification, they're very there's a lot of room for growth in all of them. I'm excited to see what comes of that.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. It definitely it didn't not feel like Star Trek to me, but it also at the same time felt like something new that we haven't seen really before in the Star Trek universe. It felt like a new show that's trying to do its own thing and not fit into the mold that we've previously gotten with other shows. Like Lower Decks, I think, was kind of the beginning of this. Like Discovery kind of like pushed that a little bit, whereas like here's something new. It still feels like Star Trek, but it's also modern for, you know, the 21st century, whereas the last live action Star Trek show that we had before Discovery was Enterprise, and it was still like more or less in that 90s Star Trek space. Whereas now we're getting into more current styles and pacing and versions of the show. But yeah, like Mark, you were saying that that you caught a lot of influences from other things, and I definitely felt the similarities to the Bad Batch
Yeah, there's a lot of Clone Wars there.
Yeah, it really felt a lot like the Star Wars. Not the animation is different, but it tonally it felt very similar to what we got there. And the music again, that felt very Kelvin universe, even though we know that the show is in the Prime, at least as far as we know, the show is in the Prime universe. And the characters are all enjoyable. Like they're all very distinct. They all have their own personality traits. None of them felt like they were misused or underutilized. Everyone feels like they're there for a purpose. So that's something that I liked. And as I had mentioned while we were watching the show, when I spoke to Brett Gray at Star Trek Day, he had said that this show was specifically targeting a younger audience. And the Hagemans even said that they're looking at this show as like an introduction for a new audience to Star Trek, and it feels that way. Like you could watch this episode, and if you know Star Trek, as soon as you know that that one character is a Tellarite, you're like, okay, I know Tellarites. When you see Janeway at the end, you're like, oh man, it's Janeway. But if you don't know Star Trek at all, none of that matters.
You're going to be fine.
You're not going to be lost because none of this actually ties in. At least so far, nothing that they've brought up requires a knowledge of something that happened previously.
Yeah. Now, I do have a question, though. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
Oh, I was just thinking, I'm hoping that they're not going to do a trope where it's like at the end of the season, thank you very much for the ship, get the hell out. Oh, wait, now we're giving you the ship back type thing. We've learned our mistakes. I was just thinking about that just then. I was like, I don't want that to happen where they have to give the ship up and then they get it back. And then it's like,
it's like, hey, thanks for bringing our ship back to us. You guys can go now. See ya. I agree. I agree. That's been overdone a lot.
Do you think they're going to run into the Federation via Chakotay, or do you think Chakotay is going to be on his own?
That's a good question.
Because Chakotay, I question whether or not he stayed with Starfleet, especially given what happens in Picard.
I reckon he probably goes off and becomes an architect. So he's going around the galaxy finding like really rare stuff, because he mentions it in Voyager in one episode. He goes like, they go like, oh, what would you do? He's like, oh yeah, I'd love to be an architect, or that's what I want to explore. So I reckon they'll run into him, and then the hologram will recognize him and be like, oh, that's Chakotay. He was the first officer on the Voyager. And you're like, awesome, thanks.
Right. Really quick, Shay actually watched the show, and he says that he thought it was fun.
I saw that.
So that's good, because Shay, like I know Shay likes some of the older Star Trek stuff. I don't think you watched the all of Discovery. If I remember correctly, you said that you had gone through like some of season 1, but kind of dropped off. So that's good that someone who's kind of new to the new stuff enjoyed this. I'm kind of interested in what people like non-Star Trek watchers, like people who just like this kind of animation. I want to know what they thought about this.
And that I have a question too, kind of dovetails into that, and also what you're talking about earlier, being that it's obviously a good introduction into Star Trek, but how good of an introduction do you think it could be? I mean, I can't judge it off of one episode, but I know that if I was, saying I had a 10-year-old or something like that, and of course I'd be like, oh my God, I want to watch this with you because we can both enjoy Star Trek. And then they're going to be like, oh, there's more of this kind of stuff. And I'll be like, yeah, let me show you Deep Space Nine or something. I
think that this is a good introduction to Star Trek. I think this is a good. It looks like it's going to be a good introduction to Star Trek. I should say that, because we haven't seen the rest of the season yet. But we don't know how it's going to play out. But knowing that there are going to be that the Federation is going to come in, that we're going to see Chakotay, that we're going to see Okona show up, and other various characters from other shows. I think eventually it might be a thing where, no, you can't watch just the first episode and then be like, I'm going to watch TNG. wait, this is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, why did you do this to me? But you're gonna have to watch like the entire season or like a season or two of this, and then be like, okay, I enjoyed this. Let me see what other Star Trek is out there. But since this is directed at kids, I think it's going to be the kind of thing where, you know, they might not necessarily be able to watch some of the other stuff until they're a little bit older.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's fun getting him into the universe, but I feel based off the first episode that it kind of goes in line with like Clone Wars or some of the other shows that Troll Hunters. It definitely obviously has some of that going on. Zero Below. And it's great, and I love all of that. I am a fan of animation and what the kind of stories you can tell, and I'm excited to see what we get. But even the characters, we don't see characters like this in the Star Trek universe that we're used to.
At least not yet, or that we know. Because again, like you said, we're only one episode in, so right now all we know are these the crew of the Protostar now. These few characters, the bad guy, the diviner, and his General Grievous like lackey. But I think once we start meeting other characters, that's when we might start recognizing the Star Trek that's in it a little bit more.
Right. But what about pulling these characters into Star Trek? Because we've never seen a giant rock person, have we?
No, but we've also never seen like a 100-foot tall Spock until Star Trek the Animated Series.
True.
So I don't think it's a fair comparison to compare this to live action stuff, at least not yet. Because
Agreed.
Obviously,
fair point.
With where CGI is now, we could get a giant rock creature. At the beginning of Star Trek Beyond, we had those like bowling ball things. At first it looked like they were like these giant creatures, and then they turned into like these, they were like this big. So I think there's a lot that could happen now that we couldn't get previously. And there was a lot of stuff in the Star Trek the Animated Series that obviously we couldn't get on the live action shows at the time. So it's I don't want to say it's not a fair comparison, but I don't think it's an accurate comparison currently, especially only being an episode in. I think in maybe 4 or 5 episodes, we'll be able to be able to judge it a little bit more where it actually fits in with the Star Trek universe. But that is it's a fair critique. I just think it's way too early in the series to really say.
I'm just more posing the question as opposed to saying, oh my God, this is a problem I have with the show, because I have no problem with the show. I just am eager to see if it becomes something that branches out into the more adult Star Trek universe, or if it's something that sticks around for the kiddies,
right?
As it were.
I mean, we in this episode alone, like it obviously it's not like super graphic or anything like that. But there were, like, listening to Zero talk about how he was captured, or she.
How
they were captured and forced to do things, and basically
the mind control stuff.
Like you're led to believe that they were torturing the not Morn. So there's definitely adult themes that are here, or more adult themes that are here. I think I could see the show targeting like a young adult age group. Like I don't think this is going to be targeting kids that are like 5 to 10. No, I think this is more going to be like
teens and tweens.
Yeah, like middle school to like
young high. Yeah. Like 6 to 9th, 10th grade maybe.
Yeah, like 13 to 17. I could see like that age group kind of getting into,
right.
Like, maybe as young as 10.
Not Nick Jr., Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Is Nick Jr. still a thing?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
it is
probably.
They won't get rid of that.
Yeah. Well, Nick at Night's still a thing, so I guess Nick
Yeah.
Jr. would still be a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, I don't see why not.
But
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask that last shot of the diviner. Did he look somewhat like the main character to you? I have to look at that again. I have to pause
Doll,
it.
like Doll?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit, but not like I don't think they're going to be the same race. Because they made it a point to say that they don't know what race he is or what species he is, and that the diviner and Gwyn are the last two of their species.
Okay.
Or their sister. That's it. You know, oh god, no, they're related.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, that feels like that would also be a clunky cliche for them to add that in there too.
He looks pretty big though.
Yeah,
looks really big.
But yeah, I think we're gonna have to see him standing next to someone else to kind of gauge what size he actually is. I would assume like a normal size human, but I don't know. It was like we could have been looking at him from a weird angle.
True.
What stood out in this episode to you guys though? Like what were some of the things that you pulled out that you're like, okay, this is what I'm here for?
I think this ship, like, I'm curious to know about the ship a bit more because it's an NX class, which is the experimental one. So, you know, it's like how it's, you know, I just don't want it to be something very cliche. Like, this is the ultimate ship in the Federation. Its shields are maximum. You know, it can one shot kill every Federation ship ever, or, you know, any ship whatsoever. So I'm curious to know why this is so important, because it means that he, like, if they boarded the ship and took it to the Federation, it could easily be overpowered by whichever ship. So I'm curious to know why it's an NX class, why it's something different. I just don't want it to be a lame excuse like, oh yeah, it can literally cloak itself and it's 100% perfect. And I'm like, I don't care.
I think I know the answer. But before I give my thoughts, Jamie, what about you?
I don't know. Go ahead and give your answer. Let me give a couple more thoughts about it. I'm pulling up the screen, the shot of Diviner at the end.
From what I understand, just from having spoken to some of the people involved with the show, my guess, and this is a guess because they did a good job of not really giving me straight answers on it. But my guess is that it's the engine in the ship. That we know that it's called a proto-drive, which is why it's called the Protostar. I really don't want it to be something like Spore Drive from Discovery, where it's just
hopping like all over the place.
Right. We know that it can go really fast. But we don't know how it goes fast. So my guess is that whatever this proto drive is the next generation warp drive that is able to go past that trans warp.
That 9.2 barrier.
Warp 10 is like that trans warp barrier. And we know from All Good Things that eventually they were able to go like warp 11 or warp 12. They were able to break, and the Federation was able to break that speed, even though, you know, without having people turn into salamanders. So I think that's what the thing with the ship is. I think it's going to be similar to Discovery, where it's the whatever drives the ship, however it propels itself, is a new form of propulsion that enables them to go at significantly faster speeds. But that wouldn't explain how it got buried in whatever that thing was.
Yeah.
So you would have to assume that it like appeared inside of it,
and it also got buried without a crew,
or the crew escaped somehow before it did whatever it did. Because I was looking, I mentioned this while we were watching the show, but for the post show, this show takes place in 2383, and Voyager returned home in 2378. So it's 5 years after Voyager returned, and we did get a line or like midway through the show that the ship had been buried there for years. So
Yeah.
it really could have only been buried there for less than 5 years.
Yeah.
So
in order to have Janeway programmed in.
Right. So you would have to assume that it's been there for no longer than 4 years. Because like I can't imagine that would have taken them less than a year to build this new ship. So I'm curious about whether there's like some sort of like time travel involved too. Like maybe something with the drive malfunctioned, it went back in time and got buried in this, and that whatever that thing was that it was in maybe got formed around where it crashed.
What was the name in Voyager of those things that they created towards the end that they were trying to kind of slingshot themselves back to Earth with?
I don't remember.
The giant. There's a couple episodes where it was just like these giant rings that they were working with the architect guy to create, and it basically was like a catapult, a space catapult.
Are you talking about the transport corridors?
The transwarp corridors.
So those aren't like space catapults. That's like a I don't know if you've played Mass Effect or they're just like portals that open up a transwarp corridor that the ship is able to travel through it.
Got you.
Think like hyperspace.
Got you. I might be mixing up episodes or something like that, but maybe the proto is something to do with that. Maybe it has its own transwarp corridor creation system.
Maybe that's definitely possible, because if the transwarp corridor could have opened up inside of that asteroid or whatever it was, so the ship
and it just got stuck there.
That's a very solid theory.
Here's one. What happens if it's got all the future tech from Voyager? The armor, the transphasic torpedoes, knowledge from the future that Janeway brought back, and that they've been able to implement it into the ship. And it's therefore, that's the reason why it's so good. And that's why it's an NX class, because they're testing out all the stuff that, if you had that sort of ship that, you've got your multiphasic armor, you can't be touched whatsoever. You've got your transphasic torpedoes, which would take out any, you can take down the Borg ship and stuff like that. So if you've got all that, then, I think you've got quite a bit on there. I think that would be a 10 times better one.
That's also a solid theory. That would also explain why it looks similar to the Voyager. Because if they took the shielding from Voyager and put it onto the ship, having the bulk of the ship the same shape as Voyager would allow them to shape that ablative shields or whatever they were called, onto that a lot better. Or, it could also be a refitted Voyager that's been modified and got renamed in the process.
Possible too.
I think one thing I'm going to think about is if the show doesn't say, let's say we don't find out any information, if it pops up on Star Trek Online, they're going to have all the information there. So I reckon that's going to be a thing. I hope so, because to be fair, I wouldn't mind having something like that sort of ship.
Yeah.
Because I know they've brought in the Janeway class, so that might be a thing where it happens, and if it does, it will have all the information breakdown for why. Because, why am I going to spend my real money on this? Well, you're going to need it.
I need to get back into Star Trek Online again. Like we started playing it, and then we kind of fell off of it again. So I picked it up again, and then fell off of it again. It's one of those things. And then I was watching Eric playing Fortnite recently on his Twitch channel. So now I've gotten into playing Fortnite. He's like the thing that I like about Fortnite is that you can kind of just jump into a couple of rounds and play it, play for 15, 20 minutes. And be like, all right, cool. I took a break. I'm done. I can go back to work now and not have to worry about getting sucked into a story or anything.
Right.
Which is why I have I bought the Mass Effect Legendary Edition when that came out, and I played through about an hour of the game, and I haven't gone back since, because like Mass Effect is one of those games where like I could sit there and play the game for like 8 hours straight. Like,
Yeah.
I could just sit there and play through, and I would get lost in the game, and
It's very zen.
yeah, I don't have the time for that anymore, and
Yeah.
it makes me sad.
Yeah, you will have the time again someday.
Eventually, eventually.
When everything's running on smooth, you know.
It's one of those things where I was just talking to you guys and Joe about this last night. My time management for myself is not the best, so I always find myself like doing 3 or 4 things at the same time. So
Yeah.
instead of being able to finish one thing, I'm just doing tons of stuff throughout the course of the day.
Thing that I noticed and kind of eager, we kept joking about the Morn looking dude, but what's Morn looking dude doing all the way out in Delta Quadrant? We
know at this point, we don't know how, but we know at this point the Federation has sent more ships out to the Delta Quadrant.
True, but why would they grab somebody possibly Federation? Wouldn't that put him on the shit list?
Well, we don't know what they did, because this was a penal colony.
That's right.
We don't know what they did to get onto this penal colony.
Get on the penal colony. The other thing,
there was a Morn guy, like we've got the Tellarite,
the cat, and the Tellarite.
Well, we don't know that the cat is one of the cat species because being that the cat was with Gwyn, we have to assume that it is a native to that area. So it's probably not the same species as the Doctor from Lower Decks.
Yeah. Excuse me. I'd like to go through the episode and look at all the other prisoners and see if any of the races that we know and love are represented, and if there's any that are just completely new.
Yeah. Definitely. I think this is the kind of thing where I'm definitely gonna watch this episode again and try and pull additional things out of there. What do you guys think about Zero? The actual catalyst for what's actually happening here. We know that they are a being of energy. We've seen energy beings before. Usually they're sort of malevolent in nature from what we've come across. And Zero does not appear to be that way. What do you guys think is the deal with that character?
I don't know. I mean, I think for me, it's too early to kind of think to figure out what. I reckon it will something, and then it'll be like, I escaped.
You broke up
and
there
it's
a little bit.
Damn it. It'll be a trope where they'll turn around and they'll go, "Oh, what are you meant to be doing?" And it'll be like, "Oh, I blah blah blah," and then they'll find out that it's that they've taken over something or they've been outlawed, and it'll be like, "We trust you." No, it'll be something really BSy that they'll throw out there, like, "I killed 89 billion people because I farted," and then that's going to be it. About, "How dare you?" No.
Well,
it'll be
so to me, Jay,
really?
we were just discussing this as a penal colony, but to me it seems like it's not necessarily a penal colony for all people who have done things wrong. It seems like the diviner is after something, and he's just grabbing people to work the mines to get to the ship, regardless of whether or not they actually deserve to be there.
Yeah.
So Zero, my guess is didn't actually do anything wrong. And
no, I think Zero was pulled in because of the ability that Zero has, and the diviner being able to utilize it. So, I'm down with Zero.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those things where the diviner put out a bounty or whatever on Zero. And it be just because he knew that they had the abilities that he wanted, and then when Zero escaped, it was like, okay, well now Zero has escaped custody, so now officially he can say that Zero is a fugitive.
Now, what do you think about Dahl? Uh, I I hope that because it's going to get built up that we don't know what race Dahl is, and what's the tie to the diviner, and is Dahl maybe like a artificial life form, even like were they created? Are they the key to the ship? You know, I don't
But
know.
how would Dahl? See, but that's a good question though. How would Dahl actually be the key to the ship? Like it's a ship.
It's a but in maybe it's in the same way that we have, the sentient mass that's inside the robot. Maybe Dahl is the sentient core of the ship or something like that, but had forgotten itself. Like it was ejected when the ship got stuck.
I would be okay with that if that wasn't almost exactly the same thing that was the deal with like Stamets in Discovery and the Spore Drive.
That's true.
That just feels way too close. Like,
I'm wondering
again,
what that thing on his head looks like. It's a connection.
I mean, maybe, but like Twi'leks also have weird things coming out of their head. So, so my guess is it's just a tentacle of some kind that comes out of whatever, the back of his head for whatever reason.
Well, how do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it could just be a tail that comes out of the back of his head instead of his ass.
How do you think they get away with making the reveal of the mystery of who Dahl is without it being like, okay, you built it up so much, you can't win?
Do you know what? I would love it in the next episode where Janeway just goes, "Oh, you're Tomaraxima, right, Tal? What? You're the race that we found," and they just literally spoil it in the second episode.
That would be great.
I would be perfectly fine with that.
I would too. I
feel that would annoy a lot of people though, kind of like the same way that killing off Snoke in The Last Jedi annoyed people. Where it's like, "Oh, you built this up." Well, we built it up in one episode, so
Yeah.
I reckon what they'll do is it'll be the same sort of trope. It'll get halfway through the season or season finale, and then it'll be something like, "You're a Traumaxalakadakadak," like what? And it'll be like, "Yeah, your race is this," and they'll go through it. Or it'll be "You are this race," and then you're like, and it's like season 2, and then they carry it on.
Yeah. Or you're the last of your kind, or you're actually the seed tree for your culture, and you'll give life
as
to
the Codex.
Yeah, he is the Codex.
Bonus points if it's like, "Only you can fly this ship. This ship was designed for you." Janeway, no.
Then it just becomes Flight of the Navigator.
Yeah,
That's
like
what they based it off.
I could maybe see it being something where maybe he was created. Like maybe they found his DNA somewhere, and they're like, "We don't know what this race is. Let's make it and find out."
Yeah,
like that. That could be a thing.
Did the diviner want him because he would be able to lead him to the ship, or just because he'd be able to lead him to Zero?
Yeah, because he could lead him to Zero.
That's it.
They knew somehow that he had a connection to Zero, or that Zero had made a connection to him. So they were specifically looking at Dahl for that. And so it seems like he just kind of got swept up into this.
Gotcha.
Whereas Zero, it seems, has a much more deeper connection to whatever's happening, but not necessarily a connection to the ship, just a connection to whatever it is that the diviner actually wants.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming is power.
Of course. Or maybe he needs life. I mean, he's hooked up to like a life support system or something.
I mean, that's also possible.
Maybe that's what's in the ship. A power supply. That would keep him going.
He like maybe he's looking for something to extend his life, and the ship is, because of how fast the ship can go, it's the only thing that's capable of getting him to where he needs to be in order to get this thing that's going to help him live forever.
Well, what do you think will be coming in episode 2?
Explanation on the ship and why it's there.
A training montage. I think we're gonna get Janeway doing like a little bit of training. We know that's why she's there. But that also brings up a question. This is an experimental ship with an experimental drive, but there's a training hologram on it.
Do you know what won't be in there though?
Coffee.
Tuvix?
No, Harry Kim not getting promoted.
Oh,
Well, Harry Kim.
Shots fired.
Harry Kim opened up Admiral Kim's.
I thought it was Captain Kim's. Wasn't it Captain Kim's?
It's Admiral.
Oh, it's Admiral Kim's.
It's Admiral Kim's Bar and Grill, just down the street from Starfleet headquarters.
From Starfleet headquarters. Yeah. Which is still
what
open.
Told me. Yeah.
It's open 930 years later too.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Enough for me to get my order in.
It's a chain spread out across the galaxy.
I would like to see a little bit more of what the cat's deal is.
Yeah, I think me too.
In addition to what you two guys said, that's what I would like to see.
I know you say you think the cat's going to be like a Trojan horse. I don't think it's going to willingly be that, but I think I think we'll find the cat has been like outfitted with some kind of like a tracking device or
listening device or something. Yeah.
Somehow the cat's going to be reunited with Gwyn, and it's going to be and that's how they're going to find it. It'll be like, how do they keep finding us? Oh, there's something in the cat's collar. I think it'll probably be something along those lines. But yeah, I'm hoping to get to know the characters a little bit better. I don't want to see another cameo in episode 2.
I'm good with that one.
I think seeing Janeway and getting to know this version of Janeway as the hologram would be enough for the episode. And then maybe in episode 3, have either Chakotay or Okona or one of the other random characters that are coming back show up there. But
how many episodes is this? 8 or 10? Oh, it's 10.
10.
Never mind.
Yeah,
it's 10.
Yeah. I don't want it to turn into like a cameo of the week type thing.
Yeah, agreed.
That I think would feel too gimmicky.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because we've had episode 1? It's parts 1 and 2. Does that count as 2 episodes, or are we counting it as 1 episode?
I believe that counts as 2. So we'd have 8 more episodes.
We have 8 more left.
Oh,
okay.
At least that's how I would count it. The Wikipedia page and the fandom page and the official page for it don't really specify.
Let me
get
look
on
at
that,
IMDb.
Paramount.
I'll look at IMDb for you.
I don't think they're announcing the names until the show until the episode's premiere. So I don't know that'll have it either. But maybe.
I'm just having a. Oh yeah, it's 2 episodes. Yeah. That's what Wikipedia says.
Yeah, so I would assume that we only have 8 left.
Oh, really?
What?
Because on IMDb, it says episode 1 is Lost and Found, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Let's see. Prodigy, Star Trek Prodigy. Let me look at the fandom page because they usually have that information too.
We got October 28th, November 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th, and then more dates.
I love when you look at the IMDb page, like everyone's got a really nice photo, and then when you look at Chakotay, it's just literally he's just in his uniform. That's it. And it's just like no updated photo.
So on the fandom page, it has Lost and Found listed as episode 1 and 2, and then we have episode 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 up through December 23rd.
Okay. It makes sense that it would be 2 episodes, but
yeah. So yeah, I think that kind of covers what we've got from the episode for now. We will continue doing these again in the future. If you're watching this on YouTube, we will with the watch along section of this and the post show originally will be on Twitch. You can find that in one of our posts on in the community tab on YouTube. It's also twitch.tv/the_Illuminerdi. You can find that on Twitter, all of our social media. You can find it there. I am Josh. You can find me on Twitter at Vogon Poetry Slam. Jamie, you are only on the Instagram. And Mark, Heirloom,
everywhere.
Charles, whatever.
Heirloom, mainstream line. It's all everywhere.
That'll do it for us for this week. We will be back next week with episode 2. Make sure to tune in here on Twitch for everything that we've got planned coming up. We've got a bunch of new stuff that we should be introducing over the next couple of months. On YouTube, you can catch our Ranger wrap-up. The last episode of the Retro Ranger wrap-up, Time Force edition, will be this coming up Saturday. After that, we will be taking a couple of weeks off and moving that show to Facebook with a new format change. I don't know that we'll be doing it live. It may turn into a bit of a hybrid show. We're still kind of working out the details on that, but Sunday you can also check out the Illuminerdi Wrestling Order on YouTube, and here on Twitch, or over on Twitch depending on where you're watching this, we will also be doing a watch along for Hawkeye when that premieres in just a few weeks. Any last words?
Live long and prosper.
Yeah, sure. I can't.
It's late. I got my Moderna booster today. I worked my job, and I love you all. You're all amazing. Have fun and be great.
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other.
Okay. All right. We are out.